the locks for the Panama Canal, the propeller for Lindbergh's Spirit of St. Louis, rails for the Trans-Siberia Railroad. All were forged of Pittsburgh steel.
Hello everybody, and welcome to The Point, your one-stop shop for all things sports, brought to you straight out of IUP and by The Pen. My name is Riley Taylor, your host, joined by Brett Marquardt and our producer, Sean Seaman. All of us from the Pittsburgh area with various amounts of different sports knowledge, whether it be some about basketball and hockey, others about football, golf, baseball. We got some knowledge, a bunch of different backgrounds with sports, and we're going to bring you all of that knowledge as we talk about sports events, whether they be current, dealing with IUP, in professional sports as a whole. Like I said, with various different sports leagues, we got it all here for you. And with this inaugural episode, we have it jam-packed full of some different topics, some controversial, some very informative, and we're going to bring it right to you here with some great analysis. So to start off this inaugural episode, we are going to jump right into something that many of you, and I'm sure all of you, are familiar with, that happened this past weekend: the fight between Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor, which, as many of us know, did not go the way that we planned it, especially as a rematch from their 2014 featherweight meeting. So I apologize to any of you that might have really carried the money line with Conor McGregor, as many people did. It definitely did not go as planned. And early on and throughout the fight, Poirier was just, as many of you saw, whether you just saw it in the highlights or you were able to watch the fight on pay-per-view, he was just chipping away and chopping away with these kicks that we could see really visually hurt McGregor early on. And it just took his mobility away, and it was clear as we head right into round two, where everything ended, that McGregor just wasn't the same. He didn't have that same feistiness that he really came out into the ring with. So not long after, Poirier ended up securing a takedown on McGregor. You could tell that this fight wasn't going to last as long as many of us hoped it would, especially on the pay-per-view realm. So as things went on, Poirier didn't really want to exchange too many shots with McGregor. He just wanted to tire him out. You could see, Poirier, knowing that McGregor had not fought in over a year at this point, and only twice in very many years. It was a tactic to really test that endurance, test that stamina. So as things went on, it just, early in the second round, we could tell that this wasn't going to be a long fight. So, and as we've seen in recent fights with McGregor, usually he wants to box things out. So taking to the ground was a huge advantage as Poirier, something we saw in the Khabib fight just a couple of years ago. It was all done by submission, all done on the ground. And although this tired out McGregor, he was able to bring himself back to his feet and delivered some clean shoulder strikes, which we saw was very effective in the Donald Cerrone match just last year. But again, wasn't enough to get it done. So with more leg kicks to follow, Poirier was able to break down McGregor's overall balance and base before finishing the fight with some key and timely punches, scoring a knockout at just the 2:32 mark of round two. So with that whole intro, with that whole segue, the real question is, what the heck went wrong for Conor McGregor in this fight? So nobody is more qualified to talk about this than our producer here, Sean Seaman. He's going to give us a bit of a take, and then Brett and I are going to chime in as two guys that are just as casual as anyone else with watching these, about what we think, because some of us have some strong opinions about Conor McGregor, and there's a lot to talk about here. So I'm going to just hand that over to Sean real quick, just because he knows and really can chime in about what happened, as someone that is really a fight specialist in a way with all the history he has in this. So Sean, I'm just going to give it right over to you.
Hey, thanks, RJ. So pretty much, just to break it down off the bat, we know that in the past, McGregor has trained with certain people, and so far he has changed his camp since then. Under this new camp, he's really into boxing. His trainer's really into boxing. The problem here in this fight, and I'll show you right here, look at the distance between Conor McGregor's legs. He's in a boxing stance, okay? Now, back then, way back in his prime, we kind of see him take this karate stance, more of ready for kicks, more ready for those spinning moves that he used to do. But when you look here, his legs are very far apart because he's in a boxing stance. He wants to duke it out hand to hand with Dustin Poirier. And what Poirier knows is that McGregor wants to do this. So what is he going to do? He's going to use this opportunity and take kick by kick. And as he's kicking his leg throughout this fight, he's pretty much, making him immobile. And even you see a video, McGregor sits down in his corner and he tells his corner he cannot feel his leg. It is broken. It is just limp. There's even video of him stumbling back on it. So just imagine having that the whole time. You're just slowing down a dude who was already fast. And especially he's now off time with his strikes. So what Dustin Poirier pretty much does is anytime McGregor goes to punch him, let him miss, kick him in the leg, shorten him down, and then just time out those punches to try to get him on the ground. So I think McGregor's biggest weaknesses, to be honest, is one, he took so much time off. This is an industry, like he said, you cannot take time off if you want to be a fighter. You're just letting other people get better and get stronger and be more conditioned than you. You took too much time to come back and fight this fight. Number two, I'll say it again, the boxing stance. You know what I mean? I love boxing. I'm a huge boxing fan. I think it's great. But if you're going to do mixed martial arts, you got to switch up your stance every once in a while. And that boxing stance kind of put him down pretty quick, in my opinion. Just left open so many vulnerable spots.
Yeah, I mean, it's a critical analysis that you just gave there. And there are many ways to take this. I mean, it was shocking to see him leave this fight with crutches. I mean, just something that nobody would have expected to happen to lo and behold, Conor McGregor in this fight. But like you said, taking too much time off, is someone that's not even big into fighting, boxing, mixed martial arts, UFC, whatever it may be. I just know that there's no way you can take time off and you can do all the sparring you want, but that's nothing near the real deal of being in the octagon with somebody that is prepared for that situation and might have prepared a little harder than Conor McGregor, knowing how arrogant he is. I do want to just send it over to Brett and just see what do you know here? I mean, I don't really know what your stance is on Conor McGregor. I'm not a fan.
RJ, I really thought he was going to win this fight,
as everyone did.
I did not think Poirier was going to match up against him, especially because of the win he had against him in 2014. Like, I thought Conor McGregor was just going to demolish him again. But like Sean said, that stance. Oh my God. It was, I heard that the stance was the same against the Cowboy fight, but I feel like Poirier took advantage of it a lot more than,
and it's an odd thing to change, with Conor McGregor, as notorious as he is, as successful he has been, to alter that. Sean, what would be the reason to do that?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. And this is my personal opinion. You can change your mind. You can think whatever you want. Ever since that Mayweather fight, something's been kind of off with McGregor. I don't know if it was a big ego hit because, you know what I mean? He came from Ireland. He came from a boxing background. It's not that McGregor doesn't know how to box. He knows boxing. It's just I think he went in there with Mayweather, got outboxed, got beat, and he left. And once again, you have a whole new camp of trainers. You're going to practice the way they practice. And if you watch all of his videos, he's sparring a lot of boxing. You don't see these big spin kicks that he used to do. So I honestly think ever since the McGregor fight, something just happened, maybe mentally even, that made him just want to change the way he does things. And maybe I'm off. Maybe that has nothing to do with it. But I'd say since that timestamp, things have changed with McGregor.
I wonder if he's going to try to do some more boxing matches.
Well, I'll tell you that, Brett. I have a whole thing. I was just going to transition to that. As we talk about, we don't know what ends up for the future of these fighters. I can tell you one thing. Dustin Poirier, he wants to either fight McGregor again for a third and final rematch, he said, or he wants to fight Nate Diaz because he has never fought Nate Diaz and he would like to see him beat Nate Diaz, was his word for word. Now, there's another big fighter on the rise right now, a rising star with his big debut, first round knockout. His name is Michael Chandler. He fought right before McGregor and Dustin Poirier, and he said he wants Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier says, you can't have me. I'm a veteran. There's no way a newbie's going to beat one fight and think he can come in and fight me for the lightweight or featherweight title. So now the big discussion is who Dustin Poirier is going to fight next. We don't know. And the next question is for McGregor. Now that he lost this fight, that whole Khabib fight is now out of the question. There's no point for Khabib to come back and fight Conor McGregor because their legacies are so different now because of this fight. And now all he's left with is either to train and try to build his legacy back up with more fights, or he always has these boxing matches that he always gets himself almost mixed up with. And that might be with Manny Pacquiao that he wants to have a boxing match with, or we all know that Jake Paul is asking to box Conor McGregor. And in my personal opinion, that's the worst thing McGregor could do after losing a fight in his own industry, is to go fight someone else that isn't even a professional boxer yet, beat him after a big loss in his own industry.
All right, so now segueing into a different realm here, the football realm. This week, we now have our Super Bowl matchup set in stone between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Kansas City Chiefs, with the Super Bowl being in Tampa Bay. Something that at the beginning of the season, when we all found out that Tom Brady was signing at Tampa Bay, it was all about, he's going to bring the Super Bowl to the first team to have a home game in the Super Bowl. I doubted it. I was like, there's no way that's happening. There are better teams, the NFC, there that are going to just take advantage of them. And now here we are. Here this week, we're 2 weeks away from the Super Bowl, and it's in Tampa Bay. So we're going to kind of pull an analysis of what happened. And first off, of how the Buccaneers got here in the NFC Championship, facing off against the Green Bay Packers. And let me say, I mean, as being guys from Pittsburgh, as repping a Steelers logo right now, I can't say much about being embarrassed for your football team, but I would feel kind of embarrassed as a Packers fan right now, just especially for Aaron Rodgers, as someone that I just was reading this like crazy as that game finished. He just doesn't get it done in the postseason anymore. He just can't get it done. And looking at this game, looking at Tom Brady throwing 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter, and none of which turned into points for Green Bay. They got 6 points off of turnovers in that game. They had many doors open to win this game. Their offensive line sucked. They sucked in the red zone. They didn't call the play. I mean, kicking a field goal in it with just above 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. You're down by 8. Go for the touchdown. If you don't score it on 4th and goal, you have Tampa Bay pinned inside your 5-yard line. I don't get it. I'm not a football coach, but I think I could coach it a bit better of a game than what was done there. But Brett, Tom Brady, he has brought the Super Bowl, the first ever home team to have a Super Bowl. What do you think about this?
Hey, he showed that he didn't need Belichick. He showed it right there.
Yeah, and I've always kind of gone back and forth with the GOAT conversation. I was more of a Breeze fan. Maybe it's just because I was biased because I hated Tom Brady as a Steelers fan. But no, I mean, this is it. This dude's going to his 10th Super Bowl with a brand new team.
Phenomenal.
And I don't really know what's going to happen here. It's an explosive Kansas City team with Patrick Mahomes. Is their defense maybe better than we think? I'm not sure. I mean, Tampa Bay's defense balled out. They balled out against Green Bay. They have balled out in the 3 straight road games that got to them at this point. It's honestly been the offense making the errors. I've been seeing Tom Brady throw more interceptions than I've ever seen Tom Brady throw. But they find a way to get it done. I mean, Brady always finds a way to get it done.
Hey, he's getting older and older. His game has to be declining. You see with Big Ben, he's getting older, his game's declining.
But the thing about Big Ben is I don't think he is ever prepared in the same stature that Tom Brady has. Tom Brady still looks like an athlete. Ben Roethlisberger does not look like an athlete.
Oh yeah.
You can't tell me that he looks like an athlete.
Oh yeah, like
And I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see this as this all takes fold here.
It's going to be a great matchup, and it's going to be a great game. Oh
and
God.
It's going to be down to, is Kansas City going to be able to break through the Buccaneers defense that has proven so powerful, or are they just going to open up and just show? I mean, what Tyreek Hill was, there were some plays that Tyreek Hill put together tonight. I think there was one that was a 40 or 50-yard pass catch that he made against Buffalo in the game over the weekend that I just couldn't believe. I mean, the offense is just incredible. What Andy Reid and the coaching staff there have done is incredible. And I don't know if the Buccaneers can prepare for that. But at the same time, it's Tom Brady. And he knows.
He has the experience. He has the experience, RJ.
And I mean, this would just be too good of a storybook, wouldn't it? I mean, he goes and leaves New England. He signs to Tampa Bay. He brings a Super Bowl there as a home Super Bowl, wins his 7th ring more than any other team in NFL history, retires and lays himself on a beach for the rest of his life. I mean, it's too good. I don't know. Whatever happens, I mean, I think everybody's going to be salty if Antonio Brown gets a Super Bowl there, but I can't really put into words what is going to happen in this game. There's too many what ifs. There's too many things that could happen that might not. It's too hard to tell. But nonetheless, a fantastic matchup that is going to take place. But again, when you talk about Kansas City, they really haven't had anyone in their way that is really give them too much difficulty. It's going to be a great matchup, and I'm excited.
I'll say it right here. I think Tom Brady's getting his 7th ring. I mean, I think he's getting his 7th ring, RJ.
It's so hard, man, because I want to agree with that, but at the same time, I mean, a back-to-back Super Bowl run to cap off the $500 million contract that Mahomes is. I mean, Mahomes might.
He's a phenomenal player, but I think Tom Brady has the experience. I think he's going to pick away at their defense, and I think they're going to come through with the win.
That's a good prediction. We'll see. I mean, we'll see as these weeks come on if we have more predictions, but we'll see. Kansas City, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has the home game Super Bowl. We'll see how all that unfolds in February. And now to wrap up our segment here today, we're going to give you some games to keep an eye on here on Tuesday night, one of which in the NHL, one of which in the NBA, so you can pick which one fits your viewing preference more. Starting off in the NHL, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins, facing off against the Boston Bruins, which is going to be a really good matchup here, and a crucial matchup. Penguins coming off of 4 straight wins. Not very pretty, all comeback wins, but nonetheless 4 straight wins. And the Bruins coming into this game just trying to kind of get their selves established in this season. Brett, what do you see happening? Bruins, Penguins? Do you think the Penguins pick up 5 in a row? This is a huge game.
They're on that streak. I think Penguins are starting to figure themselves out. I feel like they had a rough patch at the start of the season, especially they always have all these young players on their team and everything, and they have a couple old players like Crosby and Malkin, and their goalie situation is always not that good, but they do it to themselves. Boston Bruins, they're a good team. They have a chance to win, but I think Penguins should pull through the win just because they have that star power with Crosby, and maybe Malkin can do something as well.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the star power, because I'd say there's equally just as much star power on the Bruins of having Pasternak, Bergeron, Krejci. There's many other wingers there that I'm missing. And they have recently, their last 2 games, they played Philadelphia for 2 straight games. And in 2 games, they scored 11 goals. The Bruins did. So they're coming off some rest here a couple days. They embarrassed the Flyers 6-1 over the weekend. So it's going to be incredible to see how this all pans out. But
they have the goalie. The one thing I'll say is they have Rask, and he always plays amazing. And of course the Penguins, they've ruined themselves with the goalie situations because they can't trust anyone.
They're getting their feet wet now. I mean, Tristan Jarry has now picked up these 2 straight wins. He played much better in the second game against the Rangers that they were able to finally win in regulation.
Let's just hope the Penguins can block a lot of shots.
Yeah, which is not something that defense I think is ready for.
Yeah.
But it'll be good. It'll be interesting to see
It'll be a game to watch.
if the Penguins can finally not fall behind. I think they can win this game. I mean, it's 4 straight wins, 4 straight comeback wins. They need to fix that. They need to establish themselves early in the game and hold a lead for once. So, it's going to be tough. I think the Penguins will somehow find a way again. Switching over to the NBA now, we have the Clippers and the Hawks as your game to watch. What do you see is going to happen here?
I think the Clippers going to pull through, but the Hawks have been up on the rise. Oh my God, Capella has been playing so good. He just had a game with 26 points, 25 rebounds. That is a double-double and a half. Oh my God.
And you as a fantasy guy, you have some.
Yeah, he's on my fantasy team too. He got me 37 points that game.
But, so you said you think it's
why Paul George, Zubac, Lou Williams. They're gonna hopefully they have such amazing players that they should be able to pull through the Hawks. But hey, Trae Young's hot, Capella's hot. Hawks might be able to do an upset.
Well, I can't really add too much to that because I'm not huge on the NBA. But if you were going to ask me, I'd hope that the Atlanta Hawks would at least win. I'm not big on the established stars here in the league. I like seeing the young stars like Trae Young really make their way out there.
Yeah, and people don't really like Kawhi that much, and I think he's a great player, but he's really not like quote unquote ruined the league, but he's started the stigma of load management, and it's ruining my fantasy. I can tell you that. Taking time off. But hey, they play a lot. They deserve it. But I think the Clippers should pull through.
What do you think? Is this going to be a high-scoring affair where the Clippers pull through, or you think
it's going to be a high-scoring affair just because they have a pretty good – they're both high-scoring teams, except I feel like Clippers probably going to have a little bit better defense just because Kawhi's the claw. And
the claw.
The claw. You ever see his hands?
I haven't. But is that his nickname in the league?
Yeah, it's his nickname, the Claw.
The Claw. You have to be kidding me. Oh, my goodness. Well, folks, those are your games to watch. Penguins, Bruins, Clippers, Hawks. Tune in tonight to see what happens and see if the Claw will pick up a prize, I guess you could say. Well, everybody, we appreciate you tuning in to our inaugural episode here of The Point, brought to you by IUP and The Pen. We really threw a lot at you here with the UFC, with games to watch, with the Super Bowl. We have some predictions. We'll see how that all pans out. Again, we appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm Riley Taylor, joined by Brett Marquardt and our producer, Sean Seaman, and we will see you guys again soon.